Hi everyone. Hi. I'm just going to put in the topic for today. Choose word and Hi Osman. Thank you for joining. Hi Victor, why are you laughing? Hi, good evening. Please let me know if you can hear me. So just please let me know if you can hear me. Please let me know if you can hear me. Hi, Buddy. Hi. So today, hi, Ebube. Okay. Okay. Trying to send her the video so she knows your color. What is your color? What do you mean? Oh, which part of it is your color? Hi, Ebube. How are you? I'm trying to wait for Lachi to join us, and so once she does, we're going to start the Instagram live. So today, this evening, for 30 minutes, I'm going to be talking with Lachi, and we're going to be talking about colorism, because I feel like we cannot really explore fully like the whole social justice spectrum without talking about colorism. I think it's one of like the important issues of our day, and coincidentally, the interesting thing is that Beverly released the documentary about the same thing, so it just makes it. Okay. That's what you meant. Oh, yes, that's what you meant. Oh, yeah, I get that. Yeah, right. People say that. So I was going to start by sharing the story. So there was this time we had this TEDx organizers workshop in Lagos, and so it was for every person that was organizing like TEDx talks, like right in West Africa, and so. While we're having breakfast on the first day of the talk, then so this guy like walks up to me and tells me, oh, like, so he was trying to shoot his shot, right? It was supposed to be a shooting shot situation. So he walked up to tell me how lucky and how special I was, because I was one of the few, light-skinned ladies that were part of the program. I'm like, oh my god. So yeah, I get to when Nigerian men say that, oh, you're my color. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to let Lachi in now. So I'm going to send a request to join. I'm going to go live with that. Hi, Matthew. Hi, everyone. Hi, all Annie. We should talk about how things get more expensive because it's for light skin that year. Hi, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing
okay. Excuse my voice.
That's right.
Oh, goodness. How's your day going?
I think fine. Basically fine. Except for, yeah. How about this? How's your day?
Camera down. Good. It's a Monday. It's a beautiful day. It's 1 p.m. here, so yeah.
Okay, so thank you for agreeing to do this with me. So I wouldn't take so much time, right? So we'll try to make it as short as possible. And okay. So I'll just ask you to start by introducing yourself. So I was going to do that, but like you could just talk about yourself briefly.
Oh, okay, sure. My name is Olachi Morel, and I live in Dallas, Texas. I wear many hats, but the most important one that I wear is that I'm a child of God, and I am unashamed of the gospel. And yeah, pretty much everything about me revolves around that. What else? Yeah. It's a lot, but yeah.
Okay, so I think that was on Friday. So I don't know. I just saw it on Twitter, right? So I saw this webinar. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to join. Like, what interested me was the fact that there was they're going to talk about colorism. So I'm like, so I want to listen to someone talk about it. And then I listened to your presentation. I'm like, oh, I was really interested. It was amazing. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to have this conversation on Instagram. And so I think I'll
Wow.
just start by saying, so what sort of inspired you like to want to talk about how color is an issue?
Well, one of the things that really inspired me to talk about it is because, we've been having these discussions for years and years and years and centuries, matter of fact. But no one really talks about, like, what's the solution? Where does it come from? And I think that history plays a very important role in why the world seems to see things from a lighter perspective. Um, why is it that the black race, why is it that the African society is tending more towards lighter skin? Why is it that commercials revolve around skin lightening? Why is it that our beauty products are leaning towards skin lightening, skin whitening, all of that, yada yada? So I think we should connect with history to find out where it came from and why this is happening, and what are the viable solutions that we can do to not perpetuate these stereotypes of colorism, of racism, of judging people by the cover of the book rather than the content of their heart. And so that's the reason. That's what really inspired me to do the webinar. And although the webinar mostly focused on rape culture,
Yes, and rape culture,
African society, but as you can see, without colorism is actually a little piece in a little piece of the puzzle when you're talking about sexual violences against women and children in Africa and the world. So yeah, so that's one of the things that inspired me. I'm all for having healthy conversations, and how can we be the change that we want to see? It starts with us.
yeah, I think that, and I also think that there's this colorism is this bias that you have, but you don't even know that you have it. Like it's just
Right.
it's
A lot
yeah,
of
it's
times.
like it's a part of culture that you're absorbing, but you don't even know, oh, I've absorbed this culture. And I think for me was the point where I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago with a group of people, and then some of them they were like talking about how they'd rather be with light skinned partners. Like it was just better, like the fairer your skin, I don't know, the better the love or the better the emotional appeal. And I'm like, you know what, let's stop there and let's question that bias. Like where did
Right.
you buy like where did you buy that narrative from? Like what
Right.
made you feel like, you know what, like I prefer to be like with a lighter skinned person? And so I think it's a bias that is so pervasive, like in our society, and
Right.
people, we need to talk about it.
And it's wrong. And it's wrong.
Yeah, it's wrong. I think for me it was the point when so I went to school and I met a lot of people that were really fair, and then I started questioning myself, like, oh, why am I not fair enough? Like I need to be lighter. Like I'm fair, but I'm like, maybe I'll be better if I was fairer. Like I need to be fairer, and it's just something that is just I don't know, it's a part of the world that we need to question and say, let's embrace, let's embrace our color. And I think that the part that a lot of like multinationals, big corporations, they've sort of centered around that narrative, especially for Africans and Asians. Yeah, to say, oh, this makes you fair, so you should be fair and lovely, fair and beautiful. So would you like to comment on that?
I think like one of the things I've really, really looked at in my research with why is it that a high percentage of African women in the webinar, I don't know if you joined us in the beginning, I talked about what is colorism, right? And you rightly said it's a prejudice, it's a discrimination. But then there's this crazy statistic that says 40% of African women bleach their skin. 40%, and probably even higher, because everywhere you go, you see an African woman who is light skinned, and you could tell from the knuckles, different ways, and even now, sometimes you can't tell because they have these chemical peels, they have so many different things, and there's a lot of advertising that focuses on how to be white, how to be light, how to be bright. And it's like, the brightness is in your heart and not in the color of your skin. And that's really what we should focus on. But I think when it comes to those corporations that are advertising it, If we didn't believe it, they would not advertise it. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
It's all about the money. It's really all about the money. It's all about consumerism. It's all about what product is going to sell. And if these people already believe in their minds that, hey, lighter, brighter is better, then guess what? I'm going to capitalize on what they believe, right?
Yes.
To be able to sell my product, because that's going to be effective. They're going to eat it up. It's like if you tell me now, oh, I love strawberries. I absolutely love strawberries. Guess what? When you're coming to my house, if I'm thoughtful enough, I will make sure that I have strawberries to entertain you, because that's what you like, right?
Yeah, that's what you like, yes.
So that's the same thing. We've been brainwashed in Africa to believe that lighter is better, and we've created these beauty standards around it, and that's the reason why you can go to an aisle in ShopRite, right? Go to ShopRite Abuja, Port Harcourt, Owerri, Lagos, in Nigeria, and you will see a whole aisle from top to bottom shelf. There's like maybe 4 shelves in a whole big old aisle, and you see skin whitening, skin bleaching. A lot of times they don't even put the bleaching there.
Lightning, toning.
There's these words.
Yes.
There's these words to sugarcoat what it really is. But the truth is, those people who are using it actually know that it's for bleaching. That's the purpose. And they say, oh, 2% hydroquinone. Let me tell you, them things have more than 2%.
Yeah, I read I watched a documentary about it today.
Yes, a lot of these health organizations, they don't even endorse it. It's not healthy, but a lot of people want to consume it regardless of the health risk.
Yeah, and like what you said about, companies wanting to do what the consumers want. So I believe that they necessarily did not create like the stereotypes, but they perpetuate those stereotypes. They capitalize on it. They make profit of it. Because I remember when, so in response to conversations about colorism, racial bias, Unilever's response initially was to say, you know what, we're just responding to the market. They realized that women across Africa, across Asia, generally women and men across Africa and Asia, they desire to have products that can lighten their skin. And so the only thing they're doing is that they are meeting up to the demand of the market. They are responding to what people really want. And so I think it's really, because there's, there are these commercials where, you use the cream, you get fairer, and then you find love, you find happiness, you're a better mother, you're a better person. And so that way it just continues.
I'm done. But it's true, and we watch it every day. And guess what? Kids are watching it, and parents believe it, and they're saying, "Oh, marry you a light-skinned man, marry you a light-skinned girl, so that way you can have light-skinned children." And it's ingrained deep into families, and that eats into the self-love. There's no self-love. There's no self-esteem. Why? Because guess what? She's thinking, you know what? I'm dark-skinned, right? And I may not find love. So guess what? Maybe I need to bleach my skin so that I can fit in, so that I can be attractive. Now, when it comes to attractiveness, it's very, it's not, attractiveness is really, really, like they say, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? Attractiveness is not something that you can, give it an absolute definition. So it depends on the person. So that's why a lot of people really need to work on their character, their personality, who they are, and not focus on the color of their skin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that, society also sets the culture. So when there's a culture and there's a standard of, oh, this is what beauty looks like. And so I remember watching some of those videos, and I remember I was watching this TED Talk, and it was an Indian, but she was quite dark-skinned. And, for a moment I was surprised, because I'm like, when I watch the movies and I see Indians are not dark-skinned. Indians are light-skinned. And to say, okay, so there's this big stereotype. And before Lupita Nyong'o was such a, before she was a media sensation, Black women on TV were not as dark, It was this preference for...
They were not permitted to be the face in the media. They were not permitted to be the face in the media. And if you look at the Indian history, the original Indians were dark skinned.
Yeah.
Those were the indigenous people. But guess what? They were chased away because, you know, when the European culture came in and they started to mix, they started to mix up so that they could whitewash the society. And now Indian movies that you see today, you hardly ever see dark-skinned women. The indigenous people are the darkest skinned people, but what you would see is the lighter skinned people, and it's like, oh, the guy went for the lighter skinned rich girl over the darker skinned poor girl, you know. But the poor girl, maybe the darker skinned girl, has a better personality. Maybe she got it going for her. Maybe she has a lot of potential, but she's not given the chance. Why? Because the society says you are not beautiful and you're not going to reproduce beautiful children. Craziness.
Yeah,
I look
totally.
at these things and I'm just like, oh God, it's crazy.
So why do you think it's important to shift the culture? Like, why do you think it's very, very important that culture shifts? To say, you know what, we want to shift this culture around anti-blackness. Why is it important?
I think it's important to shift the culture because when we are able to shift the culture, it's going to benefit us in the future. Honestly, these stereotypes came from someone, from a hateful place. We have to think about it. These stereotypes, these discrimination, these prejudices and biases, they came from a hateful place. And God is of love. You know, loving God's children means that you have love in your, you have love in your heart. You love yourself. You love others. Love your neighbor as yourself, right? So if you are if you are saying, okay, the criteria for someone to receive my love is based on the color of their skin, then you're going against what the Bible says, which is equality, which is love thy neighbor as thyself, right? And so in order for us to shift the culture, we need to really think about what is the root of love and how can we love. What does God say about God, who's the creator? What does he say about loving people? Does he put a standard for who to love, or what color of skin they should be for you to love someone? No, he doesn't. So when we really look at loving others, we should look at it from that perspective, and then we're able to do the work of changing and shifting these negative beauty standards or these limiting stereotypes that we have in society. So that's why we're having these healthy conversations. So that way we'll be able to, shift the narrative, and we'll be able to impact change that is going to last longer. One thing I want to highlight is the rise of darker skin models in the modeling industry, in the advertising commercial industry. Thanks to YouTubers, I would say thanks to YouTubers, because a lot of, back in the day, it was just the white beauty. The beauty standard was white, skinny, blonde hair. But when those YouTubers came out and they said, you know what, this is my hair routine with my kinky hair. I'm gonna show you how I comb my kinky hair, okay? I'm gonna show you what products I use on my skin, not to bleach it, but to promote beauty, self-love, to better my melanin. This is what I put on my skin. And guess what? Other people are, ooh, representation matters. Like, ooh, that's what she uses on her skin, African shea butter. Ooh, I'm about to go buy it at the store. Those are the products that she uses on her natural, God-given hair. That's what I'm going to buy too. Those are the dresses that she wears to fit her curves, and not going on 100 million diet plans to be skinny when God is giving her, So when they started, now brands are using them for makeup, for skincare, for hair products. goodness, you go to Target, you go to Walmart, and you see black faces. And I'm like, hallelujah, Jesus. Finally, we are changing it up. We're changing up the system. But that's not where it ends, because it's continuous. It's a continuous journey of us loving ourselves in order for people to see, get with the program and say, hey, these people are loving themselves. So we have to start appreciating them, respecting them, and loving them as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really amazing. And I like what you talked about, looking at like the origin of the history. And so when I try to sort of read, like, so where did this whole, it's preferable to be light skinned, like where did that stuff come from? I realized it was from a point of view, like the point of view of slavery, where if you're a lighter skinned slave, and then you probably got a chance to live in the house and do domestic work, and if you were darker skinned, it meant you had like a more difficult life, a more difficult fate, and so generally, like a very hard life. You're going to be working in the fields. You are going to be viewed as a slave. But if you were lighter skinned, you could pass off as. And so I think it's very important to examine the history, and like what you also said, to love ourselves, to say, you know what, like I need to question my bias and get to a place where I love myself, and then to be able to love, to also take it from a perspective of the love of God, to say, you know what does God say about love, equality? There's neither be a male nor female, nor Jew nor Greek nor Gentile. There's no color. Because I feel like Bible is that book that's sort of colorblind, right? So people are not even classified on the basis of their skin color, so we don't know who is light or who is black, because people are just people. They are not being defined by their color, they're just people. And I think that's really amazing. It's been great to take the world to that place again. So conclusively, what would you say, like, so in conclusion, like, because I wanted to make this really short.
I think that we should start loving ourselves first before, we
demand love.
Right. Before we demand love, right? And like you said, you had those conversations with your male friends and they were like, oh, lighter skinned girl. I've had a conversation with 2 male friends that said, I will never date a girl who is darker skinned. I will never date a girl who is my skin color. And then he took it back. He's like, well, as long as she's lighter than me, like, even
slightly.
I was like, excuse me, what is this whole rubric and what is this whole standard? Throw that nonsense out the gutter. Like, that don't even make no sense. Your mama is darker than you. Excuse me. So you're not gonna marry a girl who's as dark as your mother because you feel like that's not beautiful. Then you're indirectly saying that my mama is not beautiful. That's what you're saying. And that is self-hate. That is really, really self-hate. That's what it boils down to. So that's another thing. We need to get rid of self-hate.
Yeah, a culture of self-hate.
Yes. Who made these standards? And is that what God says about us? No, that's not God's rubric, right? So we need to start loving ourselves before we can demand love. Also, we need to stop promoting too. We need to stop silently and outwardly. People like Bobrisky would not have been as successful if people did not perpetuate or promote the nonsense and the foolery. That's what I believe. His markets will not sell if people were not buying these products. Women in droves buying them, even though some of them were hiding it. But guess what? Bobrisky was not successful from some magical, mystical wand that made him
people were buying this product.
Abracadabra. People were buying his products. And that's why he kept promoting it. So we need to understand that if we mute the promotion of nonsense, nonsense will not thrive. If we mute the promotion of bleaching skin, bleaching cream, then bleaching cream will not thrive. And guess what? Those stores will be forced to remove them out of the shelves. Why? Because
people are not buying them here.
Because nobody's buying it. No brand is gonna want to have anything that is not selling in their store. So if we don't buy them, they will not sell. Right?
Yeah.
So I've mentioned what? I've mentioned 2 things. We need to start loving ourselves before we demand. Yes.
And we need to stop promoting here.
Yes, and we need to stop promoting it, right? And we need to really, really stop promoting it. And then another thing is that when we stop promoting it, there's gonna be a void, which is number three. We need to start promoting products that are good, like African shea butter, products that are vital in our society as Africans. Start promoting natural products for skin, hair, all of those things. Promoting homemade, those things. Do your research as well. Super, super important. Do your research and find out what works for your skin. Does this react? Does my skin react to this? Do I need it? Do not buy anything just because it's raining, because it's trending. Buy things that work for you, and don't be wasteful with your money. And so, just in closing, I will not be speaking if I didn't love myself, if I didn't love the skin that I was born with, right? So we need to understand that if we practice these 3 or 4 things, right? If we are able to practice it, then our children that are coming up will see that self-love and love themselves. Will see us not promoting nonsense and not promote it as well. They will follow our examples, right? And we'll be able to shift the culture and dynamic in general.
Yeah, awesome. So just, I think, I don't think it's necessary to give a recap of everything that you said, but I think in conclusion, I'll just reiterate, which is, we need to stop promoting these things. And I also think it's important that we shut certain things down. And like you said, I think YouTubers have done like amazing work. I remember going through
their own ambassadors.
Yes. I remember going through YouTube today and I was just reading some tweets that some YouTubers had gathered where someone said, oh, you don't see a black man saying to a black woman, you lighten up my world. They are just too black for that. And people, they had put together the collection of these tweets. And, it was the critique. And I like the fact that it's not just saying that we don't want something. It's saying we need to shut it down. We need to shut it down. When we see it, we shut it down and say, no, that's not it. Because, that's how we change the culture. And I think social media is one way of, really shifting the culture to say, you know what, when I see this on social media, I'm going to say, this is not right. This is not proper. Because I'm like, that is so mean. And, things that people say and tweet like, oh, yeah, quite beautiful, like for a dark-skinned person. I'm like, I don't understand.
What kind of compliment is that?
And so to say, what, we need to understand where this history of, anti-blackness comes from, to get into a place of saying, we need to stop this self-hatred, and we need to get into a place where we love ourselves, love and acceptance, and we stop promoting it.
Okay, yes. Somebody said, love the hair though.
Yeah, I love your hair. It's nice. That's the first thing I saw on the webinar. I was like, oh, I like her hair. I was like, I'm going to stay and listen because I wasn't sure I was going to. I was like, let me just breeze in and breeze out on Zoom. So I think the hair captivated me.
Thank you.
So yes, I like your hair.
So yes. And one thing I mentioned in the webinar, and I also encourage us to tune into these webinars, tune into healthy, positive conversations. That's how you can do your own little to be able to shift the culture and shift the narrative, as well as change the mindset, right? You need to be well informed. So these webinars are some really, really vital information. And real quick, one thing that I also mentioned in the webinar is that what people don't understand is that women, when it comes to being targeted, right? Whether you're light-skinned, you talked about earlier, light skin is seen as a preference. You can still be a target. Whether you're dark skinned, dark skinned women, sometimes society has said, oh, you're not good enough, right? So and perpetuators feel like that's their go ahead to violate. So no matter what shade of the spectrum that you fall on, you can be a target, regardless. Yes. So bleaching your skin to get away from anything is not going to change nothing. The main thing is, let us teach our sons, our brothers, our uncles, our fathers to have the right mindset, have the right mindset, not to violate bodies and not to perpetuate stereotypes of colorism as well. So that's pretty much my piece.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me so much.
I really enjoyed this conversation. And thank you so much to everyone who joined. Yeah, so the video is going to be on IGTV, so you can catch it later. I said you could download it.
Awesome.
Yes. All right. So yes, for me it's a beautiful night because I mean it's almost like 7:30. So, but for you, have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
Yes, have an amazing day.
You as well. Bye.
Yeah.